Coach, thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you, man.
I haven't seen you in quite a while, personally, but when you get 90 and a half, you're hard hearing, you're legally blind, you have problems, Coach. But I'm still writing 4 columns for 3 newspapers. I used to have 5, but somebody got to me and got me out of 2, because I think they've been thinking that maybe I've been writing too many tough ones on your athletic director, Coach. But Coach, it seems to me like you might be setting a record for transfers. I know you told me a couple years ago there are a lot more players, student athletes transferring today. That was about 2 years ago when I was in your office, Coach.
Well, Mick,
My memory's pretty good. And you said, Mickey, there are more today than usual.
Well, let me address this, Mick. First of all, I transferred. I transferred because I didn't see there was a guy playing ahead of me who was in the same class as I was, and I wanted to go someplace where I felt like I would have more playing time. So, and it turned out all right for me. I just wish that sometimes when you throw figures out there, you throw accurate figures. We signed 23 guys since the Final Four. We haven't signed 16. We've signed 23. So the number that 12 of 16 is not accurate. It's 12 of 23. 3 of those guys never suited up. Never suited up. 2 medicals. 2 medicals and 1 guy who had a language problem and didn't pass the test, who never showed up on campus. So now you start throwing those numbers in, it makes it look a whole lot different than what actuality is. You know, in our league alone, there's been several guys who have signed letters of intent and then decommitted from their letters of intent. I don't think that probably they count them as people who have been there. So, you know, just to get that cleared up, Nick, the numbers are very misleading. Let's say 12 out of 23, and 3 of those guys didn't show up for various reasons. Well, they showed up. I mean, I can't look and see what's wrong with people. You know, that people aren't going to get cleared medically. That's certainly not my area of expertise. We also had 1 who graduated, that's counted in that transfer deal, and 1 left on a medical and was granted immediate eligibility to be with his father, who was in failing health. I can't do anything about that. I don't mind taking blame, but I mean, blame me for things that I can control. Don't blame me for things that I can't control. So, Mick, when you look at those numbers, it's not near as alarming as what has been portrayed by some people. 40% of guys don't make it to their junior year. 40% of men's basketball, it's been tracked that 40% of guys don't make it to their junior year. They transfer. And I think it's 38% of those don't transfer to a higher or like conference. We've had 1 guy who's transferred who has gone to a so-called, whatever you want to call it, BCS, high visibility conference. The rest have transferred down.
Some people think that your recruiting has slipped in the last 3 years. What is your response to that?
Here's my response, Mick. We've been in postseason 6 of the 7 years I've been here. You have to probably go back to Fred Schaus to find a like era. 5 consecutive Final Fours, tied for the most in school history. A Final Four, 2nd in school history. If I'm recruiting that bad, then I'm doing a heck of a job coaching.
Well, let's get back to the Final Four, Coach. How many of those were your recruits?
starters.
Huh?
3 starters.
3 starters were your
3 starters, yes, sir.
Well, you had some help from
I had some
Coach
help.
Bonet
but-
Line, too, did you not? Just like the football coach had from Bill Stewart, sir. I'm just calling spade a
If
spade.
you call a spade all you want to, if
Yeah,
we're going
right.
to call a spade, then don't throw numbers out that aren't accurate. Don't throw inaccurate numbers out.
Well,
If we're going to call a spade, let's be honest. We're going to be
Well,
honest. Let's be honest all the way
let me ask you another
around.
question.
I never said. Listen, I love Deshaun Butler. I love Joe Mazzulla, Wellington Smith, Cam Thurman, those guys. I love them to death. Those guys are very much a part of our family. You know, regardless of who recruited them. You know, the last time I checked, it says West Virginia University on your chest. It doesn't say Bob Huggins. It says West Virginia University. And those guys chose to represent West Virginia University, just like Kevin Jones, Truck Bryant, Devin Ebanks chose to recruit West Virginia University, or to represent West Virginia University. The reality is that kids are transferring. They're transferring everywhere. Okay, you know, I mean, I understand we lose a couple of guys that scored some points. Texas Tech loses their a couple of guys that were, I think, their second, third leading scorer. It's happening everywhere, and I'm not for it. I'm not saying it's okay. What I am saying is it's not just here. It happens everywhere, and it's kind of the times. And I'm gonna tell you this: nobody, Mick, not you included, loves West Virginia University more than I do. And when the time comes that I don't think that I can do my job and do the best job I can possibly do for this university, I quit. I'm not gonna hang on. I'm not going to hang on and not do the right thing. I love this university. I love the people in this state. I'd venture to say there isn't anybody in this state that goes more places, contacts more people, has more interaction with our people than I do. So you know, you can say, we can talk about whatever we want to talk about. This is about West Virginia University. This is not about John B. Line. This is not about Bob Huggins. This is about West Virginia University.
Are you concerned about the fan base slipping?
How is the fan base looking?
You compared? Have you compared from year to year?
Well, if you compare it to the Final Four when we were ranked in top 10 in the country.
You had one sellout last year.
Mick, you know, before you say those things, you really ought to check. 6 or 7 times, I think it is, or it's 5 or 7 times we've averaged over 7,000 season ticket holders. That's never happened before. That's never happened before.
It has in the Jerry West days.
It's never happened in the history of college football.
I remember the old field house, Coach. I know I'm old-fashioned. I remember the old field house. You couldn't get tickets. Can today?
Well, if that's what we want to talk about, I mean, it's kind of a different era.
Coach,
Yes.
is there any steps that, I mean, I hear what you're saying and nationally. Are there steps that can be taken to, I mean, I don't even know what I'm trying to ask. But
Steps to be taken to what? Keep guys from transferring?
I guess, or to,
Justin, when last year over 500 guys transferred, we went over 500 yesterday.
right.
It's not just here.
No, I understand, but I'm saying, I mean, is there anything, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but is there?
Justin, we live in different times.
Right.
We live in different times. We live in times where if you don't play on one AAU team, you transfer to the other. We live in times where, and look at how many kids in all kind of different places. They go from one high school, and then they go to the next high school. That's the times that we live in. Is it right? I don't know. I don't know if it is or it isn't. Honestly, that's not for me to judge. I mean, you can judge it if you want to. I'm not in a position to judge that.
What has it changed about your off season to you lose Aaron, you sign Tariq Phillips, now you are in a situation where you lose Terry? How much does it change your outlook?
Can I ask one more question?
Let me
Shut up.
Let me answer this. We didn't just sign Tariq. We also signed Javon. We also signed Dax. Somewhere that's gotten lost. We also have Jonathan Holden. We also have Elijah Maker. We have 5 guys to add to what we had a year ago, minus those guys. When you look at it that way, it doesn't look so bad, does it? See, don't take pieces of things. You know what I mean? Don't take pieces of things. If we're going to talk about West Virginia basketball, let's talk about West Virginia basketball. Let's don't talk about pieces of it. When you're going to ask me a question like that, and that's a fair question. I'm not being trying to be mean, but the reality is we have 5 new guys coming in that I think are pretty good. I think they're pretty good.
Bob, does what's happened, though, make you introspective to see what I can do to, I can do to change this? Is it the kids I'm bringing in, maybe?
Bob, it's not the kids we're bringing in. It's absolutely not the kids we're bringing in, because it's happening everywhere, Bob. Kids are leaving Ivy League schools. Kids are leaving the Dukes, the high-profile academic places. They're leaving everywhere. It's not the kind of kids we're bringing in. We have sat as a staff and tried to figure out what else can we do. Now, I know you know, and I would assume that everybody else knows, we are limited in the contact that we can have. Now, we try to do as many things as we can possibly do. I don't think you've never have heard any of those guys say they didn't have a relationship with the coaching staff. They have. Now, we're going to try to do more. We're going to try to figure out how to do more. We're going to try to fix the problems or the perceived problems. We'll do the best we possibly can. Can I sit here and tell you that I have it figured out? If I had it figured out, there'd be, 364 other Division I coaches lined up outside my door saying, how do you do it? Because it's happening everywhere.
Bob, as a product of those discussions when you're in your office and trying to figure out, I imagine the most frustrating thing is that there is no, like you said, there's no magic wand. You can't be more proactive because of limitations. You get to know kids as much as you can within the system. It's largely sometimes a surprise. Would that be accurate?
I want to say that because of the makeup of our staff, we don't have, a lot of times you lose kids because, coaches are coming and going. That hasn't been the case. Our staff has been, really, we changed positions with Billy and to a large degree because he needed to be here because of his wife's health. And you know what I mean? I didn't need Billy out running around for a month on the road with his wife's situation. And Jared took the Fairmont stage out. But, aside from that, really Ronnie's our only new guy. Judging from the reaction when we hired Ronnie, all you guys thought it was pretty good. It's not. The only thing I can tell you is that, and I wish you would convey as best you possibly can to to our fan base is we're gonna do everything we can possibly do.
I guess it's what I'm getting at though, because it sounds like there's only so much, right? Is it just, I have no idea what the answer to my question, I guess, but like, is it just?
It's happening everywhere.
Right, but I mean.
It's happening everywhere. I mean, it's not,
When I say you, I just mean you as coaches in general. There's not, it's gonna be a long time to get on the other end of this, I'm guessing, because this is trending in that direction.
It's been a topic of conversation in the NCAA for a number of years. And not all transfers are bad. I mean, it's not all bad. I would say the majority of them are probably for the reason that they want to play. And when you got 13 guys and you can only try 5 out there, obviously all of them aren't going to play. You know, I will say this, Mike, I think that the other guys waiting their turn, I don't think that happens as much anymore.
I think if you polled the fan base, the most alarming thing would be not that guys are transferring because they want an opportunity somewhere else, or like you were playing behind someone or anything like that, but at least both of your transfers this year and probably 2 of them last year were guys who were already in the mix. They were starters. They were guys in your plans, but whether it be for personalities, whether it be in at least one case because you didn't want him returning, you know, they chose to leave. Is that alarming or disappointing, or, I mean, how do you face that when guys who are in your mix decide that they no longer want to be there?
It happens everywhere, Dave. It happens everywhere. There were high school All-Americans who transferred to another school. I don't know why. I don't have the answer to that problem, to that question. I don't know. I don't know why. Some guys leave to get closer to home. Some guys probably leave to get further away from home. I don't think there's one thing you can say that, you know, this is what it is. But when you leave, I mean, there's guys leaving programs that are perennially top 5 programs. Why are they leaving? I don't know.
You were talking about some of these guys. Holton has been practicing, hasn't played. Macon will soon be practicing, I guess, but you know, hasn't. You know, he's been probably have to work some rust off. What can these guys bring to you for next season?
Well, Justin, can I say something though? In fairness, if we're going to talk about those guys and count those guys, then count them as being here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you throw out numbers that aren't accurate. And I hope and pray that I never do that to you. They're not accurate. What can those guys bring?
Right.
We couldn't rebound the basketball. They will rebound the basketball. You know, I think we go back to being more what we were with Devin Williams, Jonathan Holden, Elijah Macon. We go back to what we were. We're going to get, you know, the team that wins, and I've said this, you know, hundreds of times, the teams that win are teams that get the most easy shots. Well, second chance points are considered, you know, easy shots. They're close to the basket. I think we'll be able to do that. We'll be bigger. We'll be longer. You know, the year that everybody wants to go back to, the Final Four, the one common theme that I heard from everybody was our length. You can't duplicate your length. Well, when you throw those guys out there, and the guys that the other guys that are coming in, it greatly increases our length. So, you know, everybody's having a problem with ball screens. We didn't have near as many ball screens when we switched everything. You know, when you can't switch things when you play two little guards, or you play a guy who's 180 pounds or 175 pounds, and you can't switch him onto a big, obviously. But you can, you know, switch a bigger, longer guy. And the other thing that length does is that length takes away passing lanes and passing angles, which I think is what everybody talked about in the past. And I think we're back, we're closer being back to that than we've been in a while.
Can Macon be thrown into that mix right away, though?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He's been allowed to condition with Andy. He obviously hasn't been on the floor.
Right.
He really hasn't even been at practice, so he's going to, but I mean, we've had freshmen come in and make pretty big impacts.
Yeah.
You know, I think that, you know, when you bring in a Devin Ebanks came in as a freshman, made a pretty big impact. Kevin Jones came in and made a pretty big impact. Trent Bryant came in and made a pretty big impact.
Their situations are a little different, though, weren't they? I mean, they had played the
Well, I would think that in all honesty, Justin, Elijah's situation is better than theirs because he's adjusted.
Okay, yeah.
You know, Elijah's been here. He knows his way around campus. He knows people in the community. He's not walking in like, oh God, and looking around, you know, like a lot of freshmen do. This is a big place. You know, he's not in awe. And he's not going to walk in like a lot of freshmen do in awe of, you know, some of the upperclassmen that are there. I think he's going to be more adjusted and more well adjusted than any freshman that you could ever bring in.
Coach, you've had the opportunity to address your team since Terry Anderson's spring break. You haven't been able to,
As a group now,
okay, what about individuals?
I've talked to several individuals.
What have you said with them?
We're going to be fine. We are fine. I'm excited about the year and what we're doing. And, you know, as that goes, and those of you who, you know, kind of study college basketball, I mean, we have played a heck of a schedule. We played a heck of a schedule. Year in and year out, and we're going to continue to do that. And I think our guys are excited about the challenge. They're excited about being able to go back to Madison Square Garden and play an ACC school. So I think there's a lot of excitement. I mean, and don't forget now, we've got probably the leader for the Big 12 Player of the Year comes back returning, who's going to have the ball in his hands. I don't think there's another team in our league that's saying that.
You saw last year what Jawan did in the offseason to get better, and you saw the results last season. He's talked about how he's already been in the gym with you, with Larry Harrison, to try to get better. Have you seen him putting in that same type of effort, and how much better can he really get heading into next season?
Be in the gym with Larry Harrison.
Okay, well, I guess it was that he, you know, was.
We were allowed our allowable hours, and we were in the gym with him at that point.
Okay.
He's in the gym all the time. Jawan loves to play. Jawan really wants to get better. He's very driven. He's like, you know, the other great players that I've had. He's very driven. He's excited about next year.
Bob, you
Because as either of those two players were the one that eligible to transfer.
They're both
to
eligible.
Rhode Island or junior college, and the other kid has either of those.
They both did very well academically.
I'm sorry.
They both did very well academically.
But they haven't been approved by the NCAA yet, is that right?
Nick, I don't know where all that comes from.
Thank you.
All they have to do, they have to meet a year's residence. They have now met a year's residence. That's the rule. All this stuff about they have to go through the NCAA to get approved, I don't know where all this comes from. I know where it comes from. People don't know what they're talking about. That's where it comes from. They're a year's residents. They have done well academically.
Karen and Terry seem to have, their transfers seem to have caught you in the program by surprise. It's kind of, even with all the people transferring, correct me if I'm wrong, is that an unusual thing that there weren't, like 2 weeks of conversations, whether you should or shouldn't or whatever?
I don't know that I would say that two of them did. One of them did. Yeah. Totally caught me off guard.
And what does that say, that he didn't have the, whatever it is, to sit down and say, hey coach, I'm thinking about this, what do you think, or whatever?
Bob, it's really hard to be 100% honest with cameras on and all that kind of stuff because, people have a tendency to take bits and pieces of things and make it out of things that you didn't say. So, that, in all honesty, makes it very difficult. I mean, I think I've always been very honest with you guys. Not being as honest as I possibly can today, but sometimes it's hard to say. Let me just say this, there are a lot of other people in young people's lives other than their head basketball coach. You would probably think that you would refer to their expertise, but that doesn't always happen.
Coach.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. You're allowed to pass.
2 questions here. The 23 you're talking about, you're counting.
I hate two-part questions.
I'm sorry. You're counting the guys who were freshmen and first-year guys this year.
Well, I think it was the people since the Final Four that we recruited.
Right.
And obviously, Devin, Brandon, Nate, and those guys were recruited and they're still here.
Right. You have.
You also need to add in Matt Humphrey, who came in and got his master's degree.
Right.
Here, got his master's degree.
That's right, and Matt Humphrey, that's right. Out of this year's, I mean, obviously they weren't all freshmen, but out of this year's first-year guys, do you have any kind of inclination on is this a solid group? Do you feel that they'll continue to? I mean, is it too early to? I mean,
Listen, I've never started the year thinking that we didn't have. So,
Right.
I mean, that'd really be a pretty sick thing.
Yeah.
You start the year, going around and kind of saying, no, come on. Of course.
right. Second part, guys like Noreen, Gary Brown. I mean, these are guys that haven't been. I mean, they have started, haven't always been starters. Have had to play behind people, and they stayed the course. What's the difference between guys like that and guys who decide to go elsewhere? Is there anything? Is there a difference? I mean, just is it attitude, personality?
What Justin, and please take this the right way.
Right.
When you talk about Kevin Noreen's the only one left from his recruiting class. One was never cleared medically. One had to leave for medical reasons, and the other one never showed up. That's not really what we're talking about.
Right.
Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand.
So when you preface things, by saying, well, he's the only one left in his recruiting class, that's not right, man. And I don't do that to you. I don't.
Right.
You ask me a question, I try to honestly answer the question and try to back it up with truisms and facts. So, when things like that go out, it makes me look like, why, he's lost the whole recruiting class. I never had him to start with. How can you lose what you never had? You understand what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying.
So, what keeps guys like Kevin Noreen? Kevin Noreen is, Well, in the first place, Kevin signed at Boston College
Right.
and left before he got out of his letter of intent.
And then the coaching change, right?
And so, should they be writing at Boston College that they lost Kevin Noreen? I don't know. I mean, you understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You have to look at the big picture. And I don't think, before we do these things, why don't we look at the whole picture? How do you say he's the only guy left in the recruiting class? We have 3 guys never submitted him. I'd like to be a very intelligent guy, but I'm not a doctor.
Bob, has it gotten to the point where you almost have to re-recruit guys every year, and I'm talking about coaches in general, because the problem is so pervasive? Whether it's an end-of-season evaluation type thing, or...
I don't know where recruit's the right word. We try very, very hard to have a relationship, and I think we do. I've gotten more text messages that I can't share from former players about this whole epidemic that I can tell you this: every former guy who comes back says to me, "Why are you being so salty? Why have you changed so much? Why are you being so salty?" You try to coach guys the best way you can possibly get to them, But to a man, I think they all think that, and you're going to do that with each other, then maybe I calm down.
It's getting soft a little bit.
I don't know. I don't think that's a good word. I think relationships, but again, I mean, you can have a relationship with somebody that you're not bound by rules. I can't.
The timing of Aaron leaving right after the season gave you that spring period. Terry leaves now, much more condensed time frame to replace that scholarship if you want to. Is that disappointing that the transfer didn't happen during the early part of the period, if they were going to leave?
I mean, I think anybody would say the more time you have to be beneficial. And I'd be lying if I said that, said it wasn't. But I think we're going to be fine. I really do. And I think there's people out there that we can be involved with that can make a impact. I can't tell you 100%. We're going to get some of those guys, but we're going to be in the mix.
So would you prefer graduate transfer over a traditional transfer, traditional recruit?
There's guys out, there's guys, for whatever, there are Kevin Noreen's out there that are leading programs. I mean, what would I prefer? I would prefer somebody to come in and make an impact. I've learned, don't talk in generalizations. So, go get a fifth-year guy can't play, no. Go get a guy who got out of his letter can't play, no. Why? If they're not going to make an impact, why would we recruit? But that's a generalization. But what you asked me is a generalization.
If we're not going to talk generalization, when you say, is it fair to ask you, when you say we're going to be fine, what your definition of fine is? Is it 17 and 16? Is it Final Four?
Well, you know me better now.
Yeah, I do, but I'm trying to get you to put it in words.
What's that called, an oxymoron? You already know the answer.
You must be the oxy then.
you already know the answer to that. So, no, that's not going to be fine. it's not gonna be fun. And I refrain, I really honestly try to refrain from being 100% honest when I think it may be mistaken for me trying to make excuses. But let's be honest, we wouldn't have been 7-16 if Terry Anderson had been healthy all year. I mean, maybe we would have, but I think there's a heck of a chance. Our chances, let me put it this way, our chances are a heck of a lot better of having another 2 or 3 wins if we don't lose Terry. So Bob, I can't control those things. I'm not trying to make excuses, and I have not, and nor will I. But to answer your question 100% honestly, I think we both realize or think very positively that we would have had more than 17 wins if we hadn't had what happened was for that matter, I thought we'd have those 2 guys that we didn't have. No, it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable to me. But that being said, Bob, I'm not gonna go back to playing, a whole bunch of people that it's not challenging. That's not. Nick mentioned our fan base. I mean, we've had pretty good games. We've gone pretty good places that I think people enjoy. We're trying to do. I've tried to do this since I got back here.
Does depth become one of the key issues then? I mean, it sounds like.
Well, but okay, Justin, think about this. So now we're saying, okay, you lost 2 guards. Jawan State probably may be the player of the year, preseason player of the year. Gary Brown, a 4-year guy. 2 freshmen that were very good and pretty heavily recruited. Tariq, that's 5.
Right.
That's 5 for 2 spots.
Okay.
Nate Adrian got a lot of experience. And, Nate, I think we all wish, Nate become a little more consistent shooting the basketball, which he will with work. But Nate knows how to play. And he's got length. Johnson Holt can play the 3. Then you got Devin, who led the league in double-doubles as a freshman.
Right.
Elijah. Along with, I think we all understand we can play 3 guards at once and play Nate, which we did a year ago at the 4, or we can play Jonathan at the 4. So no, I don't have much concern about that.
Bob, along those lines, and maybe thinking outside the box a little bit, but you mentioned.
No, not you.
I live up. But the stuff you mentioned, even yourself, even transferring because of the players in front of you, do you have to think maybe differently about recruiting? Like instead of taking, let's just say, 4 or 5 guys in a freshman class, you break it up, maybe 2 2-year guys and 2 4-year guys. Well, no, I mean, this is maybe like a line of thinking in the future. I don't want to say you don't sign full classes, but if you bring in, let's say, 4 freshmen and they're all guards, the chances are you lose.
Like I have tried the best I possibly can, but if you think about it, when I got here, I had a class, I had 7 or 8 guys in that class. And that makes it hard.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it hard to ever get it the way you want to get it. Ideally, is that what you want? Absolutely.
Right.
I don't think you ever want a year when you don't have any scholarships. But I don't think you want a year when you have 8 guys. And the year that we had guys transfer, we had to bring in a slew of guys.
Right. So going forward, though, I mean, is that?
Do I want to? No. Absolutely, I don't want to.
Anything else? In your rundown, you didn't mention Remy. There's been some rumors about him. What's his status?
I haven't talked to him. Remy told the assistants that he was going to go back to France and play professionally, and that's my assumption is that's what he's going to do. How would we fall in for that? You're talking about a guy who's from Paris, France, who wants to go back to France and make a living playing basketball.
Does that mean you're not counting on them now, or
Bob, you know, I have talked
you have to
talked to Eric,
one of them other guys either?
not about the situation. I have talked to him.
As far as Terry's reasoning, was it similar to Aaron's, wanting to go back home, not a good fit? What?
You know, again, I came in here and have been very open and very honest, but I'm not going to get into personal stuff. Just not going to do that. That's not fair to them. I think sometimes some people think that, you know, you're supposed to expose your soul when the reality is you don't do that. And you wouldn't do that with your family. So, you know, there are some things when you have private conversations with people that's why they call it private. I'm not going to get into all that stuff.
Sometimes schools put restrictions on transfers and stuff. I don't think you have in the past. Is that still the pretty much what you've done with these two guys?
Just sometimes you want to.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to for various reasons. If guys don't want to be here,
Right.
you know, I think we've had a lot of success because we've had guys who wanted to, you know, believed in the university, understood what the state was about. You look at, you know, the Deshaun Brothers, the Kevin Joneses, those guys. I think Joe Alexander would be the first one to tell you he was going to transfer, you know, and decided to stay. It worked out well that he stayed. You know, everybody's different, man. Everybody's different. There's different reasons why people do things.
Right.
You know, it's like, if that's what I said. If I could say, this is why everybody's transferred, I could quit coaching and be a multi millionaire, and I would just, you know, tell everybody else how you can avoid all this stuff. But obviously, I don't know, and what does anybody else? You know, everything happens for different reasons.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, everyone, for coming on short notice.
Let me, can I just say one more thing, Les, before we go? You know, this was, I guess, was kind of about the state of the program. And let me just say this. And I think this is important. Social media today is incredible. And so a guy at Wisconsin Green Bay knows what a guy's doing in Santa Barbara, California, because of social media. Because of the AAU circuit, and everybody gets to know everybody and all this kind of thing. And I hear this term arms racing, which I don't like the term. The reality is the Coliseum's 44 years old and has never really had a makeover. And you know, I've talked to Oliver. Oliver has shown me, you know, some things like you know, that's a deal in suites that we think would be applicable, which we need. We need to modernize, because everybody knows. Don't think for a minute that, I mean, you got guys going to different places and taking pictures and tweeting them, you know, and we need to, and I don't think this qualifies as arms race when you're in a 44-year-old building. Whereas I've said, you know, you got a trough and two toilets and a bathroom. We need to do some things. In fact, we need to do a lot of things. And you know, Oliver has done a great job of going out and securing some money that we're able to do this. But don't think that those things don't play into. I mean, this facility here is phenomenal, and it's been very well received by everybody who came in here. But then, you know, you go across, and there's nothing wrong. And I'm not one of those people who say we need a new arena. We don't need a new arena, but we do need to do some things, and I think some significant things in the Coliseum. And Justin, my mother, I wouldn't know what to say, but my mother-in-law saves it all. I have no idea why, Justin, what she does. And I walked out to get my cup of coffee, and it was laying there where you said, what we don't have is land. That may be the truest thing you've ever said. We don't have it.
Right.
You know, we really don't, and we all realize parking's a problem. You know, I mean, Nick says, well, what about attendance? Well, we continue to eat up parking. When I played here, there was no shell building. There was none of that stuff. There was a field. Everybody parked in. We didn't have parking issues. Now we have tremendous parking issues. But I think more than that, we need to enhance the fan experience. When you can sit and watch a game on TV instead of sitting in traffic, instead of going into a building where you have to stand in line for a significant amount of time to be able to use the restroom, to be able to buy a Coke, get a hot dog, you know, we need to enhance the fan experience. We need to enhance the fan experience, which I think helps us tremendously, and the biggest reason I think is social media. And I think that's the thing why I think a lot of these things happen. You know, we let our guys have gone live, for instance, going to China, you know, and a lot of those other guys have gone different places. Well, it's good and it's bad. You know, it's good, they get a great experience, they get to see other parts of the world, but at the same time, they talk to you know, the other 10 guys. And if you've ever been in one of those deals, what happens is, I say, well, you know, our Coliseum's really good, you know, and the other guy says, well, listen, we got this, we got suites, our locker room is this, you know, it's you know, it's unbelievable. The next guy says this, and the next guy says this, and the next guy says this. Well, by the time you get to the next guy's probably not true, but they still think it is, you know, and so if we really want to move forward, if we really want to continue to become a national presence on a yearly basis, that needs to happen. Otherwise, you know, we're going to continue to be pretty much what we are. And I don't know that there's a whole lot. Can we be really good sometimes? Yeah, can we do it on a consistent basis? Without that, and without the social media continuing to say what a wonderful deal it is. It's amazing, you know, when you walk in a place and it's like you walk in this place, it's like, you know, wow. Or you walk in a place and you go, you know what I'm saying? So I'm very happy that we have secured funds that a good portion, I would hope, would end up where it's supposed to go in the basketball program. I feel very confident that it will, but I think y'all need to understand that as well. The social media thing is crazy.
I mean, is it safe to say the suites are a done deal then, or is that kind of?
I was given this,
Right.
and we certainly talked about it. So it is at the very least, I think a very hot topic in the conversation.
Any like timeline or
How much do you want me to do?
I mean, are we talking a couple years from now or tomorrow or?
I mean, I don't.
You're going to have to build them, coach, yourself.
I got to recruit them. I got to
Just
keep
build
them.
them.
I got to coach them. I got to go raise money for the MAC. How much can I do, Justin? How much can I do? I don't know. Yep.